Hi, at this stage, our website is already much better than when we do not have any CSS. So before we do not have a background, we only have a white background. Now we know how to add an image or with a color. And then now we have much better text. And for the text, we can also change the color of the text to make the appearance more attractive. And also we modify our table to make it look more like a table instead of a box. So, but one thing you might notice when we change the table header, we copy and paste things into 6 different headers. So now we have 6 headers. But what if one day, we have a table with like 12 headers, right? Do I need to go into each of them and then copy and paste? No, I don't want to go into each of them and copy and paste all the thing. Why? Because if one day I want to change the border from 1 pixel to 3 pixel, let's say 3 pixel. If I have 100 of lines, then I will have to copy and paste 100 times. So it's really complicated. So one thing I want to introduce is we can do groupings on the CSS we defined. So take this as an example. If we want to add a styling, we can group the styles in between the head tag. We can add a style tag. So if we want to add style to the body tag, we can define inside the style tag. We type body curly bracket, and then inside the curly bracket, remember CSS comes with a key, colon, value, and then semicolon, right? You put all of the key value pairs in it, and then delete the style HTML attribute inside the body. We delete it, and then we save it. Now, if we go back to our page, we hit refresh. Nothing changed because the color I did not change. So to prove it works, if I change it to a red, it should still apply to the body. It should still apply to the body. So let's save it, come back, hit refresh. You see? So this is one of the example, but this might not be too helpful because you only have one body and you don't mind type it once, right? So let's try to alleviate the hassles in this part. So let me introduce one of the HTML attribute called the class. Okay, this HTML attribute class will take in a name, for example, table header. And then for this class, I still have to copy and paste to all the other header. So the class defines a name that we can reference to this header. So after we add a class name inside the style, we can do a dot. This is a full stop. This is important. I will explain this later. And then table header. And then curly bracket. Remember, we want to put all the key value pair inside the style tag. Okay, so let's copy the 2 style that we are using. We separate into 2 different lines to indicate that we have 2 CSS styling. One is border bottom and the other is text align. So the magic is after we add this we can remove all of the others. So you don't have to type all the style. You don't have to add all the style in each of the table header, because right now our table header already have a class referencing these CSS. So whoever have the class name table header will apply these two styling. So if we save it, go back to our HTML, you refresh it, you cannot see any changes because they basically we apply same CSS to all the table header. But one good thing is if one day I want to change to a free pixel with a red color, I only need to change once. I change once, and then it applies to all of the table header with class name table header. So I also want to prove if I don't add class to this, the last one, difficulty, and then I change the table header to red, and then I hit refresh. Things will not apply to table header that do not have the class. Okay, so the dot is for class, and if you don't have a dot, just like the body, you're basically referencing a HTML tag. So we do not have a tag called a table header, so we need to use a dot to represent it. And for the image, I want to add a beautiful border. Which I already have. But this time, if I want to extract it to a style tag, I may want to do an ID equals header image. Okay, so this one is kind of the same as class, but I will explain it after I finish adding moving the style to the style tag. Okay, so header image. This time we use a hash. And then we copy the style from the HTML tag to the style tag. And then we remove the style. We save it and hit refresh. Nothing changes because we move it out from here. But if we change to a 0 pixel, that means no radius. When you hit refresh, it applies. So it proves that this works. So you may have a question on why we use class before and then use ID for here. And so remember, a class is we use a dot to represent a class. We use a hash to represent an ID. So the difference of ID and class is that ID is like a personal identifier. Is like your ID card. You have a number for you yourself, for only you in the whole country. Okay, so it's one and only one. But class is like for example, if you're a student, you know, a class may have like 40 students. So all of the 40 people, all the students are from the same class. So you can have multiple people in the same class. So ID is like, okay, this element is a one and only one in the website. And class is like you can apply to multiple. That's why we use a class in a table header and we use an ID in an image. So we can also extract this part. So I will leave it as an exercise. So basically you can add a class on it, and then you can add an additional style here, copy and paste the thing, and then hit a refresh to see if it works. So I will leave this as an exercise. And now, if we go back to our website, you can see there are no difference. There are actually no difference from the previous example. But the thing is, in the future, if you extract these things out, the whole project and the whole website will be much more manageable, and you can save time on modifying a single CSS. So I hope it helps, and see you next time.